Hey there, beautiful. Yeah, that's right. I'm mixing it up this time. Keeping you on your toes. Anyhow, welcome back to the Indie Reviewer, my monthly series where we look at an indie game that I either really liked or really didn't. On the front page of this month's Indie Reviewer is Loop Hero, an incredibly unique roguelike with deck building elements that will have you saying, did I really spend 30 hours in this game already? The premise of Loop Hero as described by its Steam page is this. The Lich has thrown the world into a timeless loop and plunged its inhabitants into never-ending chaos. What an optimistic premise. In this oppressive world, you are the Loop Hero, and your goal is to stop this Lich. And hopefully, just maybe, you can return this world back to normal. Or you die. That is also an option, and it will happen often. This is a roguelike after all. The progression of Loop Hero works like this. You play a loop in which you will draw cards each loop, which constitutes making it back to camp in one piece, or at least functional pieces works too, I suppose. Now, these cards can be things such as mountains, forests, vampire castles, armor, or even weapons for your hero. All kinds of things. The main gameplay is figuring out where would be the single best place to put each card, as placing cards in a specific way can spawn new structures with unique bonuses and or negatives. For example, you can place a large 4x4 square of mountain cards which turns into a massive mountain, which gives you more health, but also spawns evil harpies that you must slay. You can even put some more enemies for your little fella to fight, which can lead to more loot, but also obviously means more danger for your little lad. And while this sounds simple, trust me, somehow this continues to be just as tense and addictive 30 hours in as it is 5. Now, after you die in a loop, because as we've established, you will. You find yourself back at your main camp. At this camp, you will use resources you earn from your loops to upgrade until this camp is something as impressive as a town. The initial camp is made up of refugees from the world before, and they exist in a camp in what seems to be the void of my soul. It's it's complicated, but goddamn is it a fucking metal premise. To upgrade, you will expend resources to buy a building that does something like give you an entirely new class to play, and then you can expend even more resources to upgrade these buildings. This is where most of your progression that carries between loops will happen. Also, those new classes that I mentioned in passing completely redefine the way you play the game. It leads to you building your character entirely different run to run. It just adds that extra dash of replayability. So now that you have an idea of what the gameplay looks like, let's talk about the plot. Without spoilers, of course. Don't you worry, I got you covered. I really can't tell you much about the plot without spoiling it, since a lot of the intrigue of this game is not knowing what's going on at first. But what I can say is that it's incredibly intriguing and interesting, and I still feel like I'm discovering new things about it. Also, look at these goddamn graphics. They hit this excellent vibe of simple yet expressive pixel art with this retro undertone. I fucking love it. I mean, just look at this menacing boyo. His design is just so good. This really does nail that perfect thing that is so essential to a successful roguelike. That feeling that you are never not progressing. To feel like every second you spend in the game is another second stacked against that goddamn Lich. And I've only scratched the surface of this game. There is so much more to uncover here. So now that I've sufficiently sucked the dick of this game for the last couple minutes, allow me to give the negatives I do have. I think some more tiles couldn't hurt. Maybe some variety of mountain types or kinds of forests, like rainforests, do something different than a pine forest, that kind of thing. It would just add a little bit of extra variability. The main negative I have is the difficulty curve, but if you like roguelikes, you will expect that. That's kind of always the trade-off for roguelikes. You always feel like you're progressing, but in order to feel that way, the first couple runs tend to feel a little unfairly hard, but the more you play, the more fun it gets. So that's less of a Loop Hero problem and more of a roguelike problem. But if failing a bit doesn't bother you, disregard this negative. It's more just a warning to tell you that if you feel like peeling your eyeballs after the Lich rocks your shit for the 4th time, it gets easier. technically. Looking at other people's reviews on Google, I also feel inclined to tell you that Gary here thinks that there are too many ads in this adless game, and that one of the ads is basically porn. And 6 people found this review helpful.
Hey, whose grandpa is this? He seems really lost. Could somebody come pick him up?
Is that Grandpappy Gary? We thought you died.
Just got lost in the loop, son. Just got lost in the loop. This is so beautiful. Go, Gary. Be free. So beautiful. So besides the non-existent sexual ads and difficulty curve, I can pretty confidently say that Loop Hero is 100% worth your time. $15 for this is a goddamn steal. If you would like to see more gameplay of this before you make your purchase, I highly recommend the Scarabic Enterprises video series. It's a good time and he slowly loses his mind, as he normally does. That's not necessarily a new thing. Thank you so very much for watching. Every like goes towards Gary's bus ticket home. And if you'd like to see more content like this, I make other kinds of reviews as well as talk about upcoming games that I think look incredible. If that content does sound interesting to you, give that subscribe button a pat for Gary. But most importantly, have a goddamn wonderful day and don't die. I think he's dead.